Less than 1 hour after it left the port of Baltimore, bound for Sri Lanka, the crew of the Dali sent a mayday signal, alerting port authorities that the ship had lost power and was out of control. But Juad, it appears from videos that the vessel was travelling too fast and the crew were unable to avoid hitting the bridge. By the time the crew of the massive Dali, a massive 948 feet container ship, realized what was happening, it was already far too late.
Now, the vessel, at the very start of a 27-day journey from the port of Baltimore to Sri Lanka, completely lost power after leaving the port and was hurtling towards the city's iconic Francis Scott Key Bridge. Now, it was the middle of the night and the crew on board were pitched into further darkness when the ship's light suddenly went out. Now, the vessel was dead. There was no electronics and crucially no engine power. They were adrift but powerless to stop what was happening.
Now, Juad, multiple alarms rang out as the crew ran unsuccessful tests in a desperate attempt to fix the issue and regain power. A local pilot on board the vessel frantically gave orders telling the crew to steer the rudder hard to port and drop anchor to keep it from drifting starboard. Now, while an emergency generator is believed to have kicked in, the ship never regained the use of its engines.
Yes, kids, and now the pilots were left with no choice. Shortly before 1:30, they issued a mayday call, warning authorities a collision was imminent. There's a ship approaching that has lost their steering. An official with the Maryland Transportation Authority can be heard saying in the radio traffic recorded, and not long after, "Until you've got that under control, we've got to stop all traffic," is also heard. Now, Maryland Governor Wes Moore later hailed the crew as heroes and said that their quick response had saved lives because authorities were able to stop the flow of vehicle traffic onto the bridge in the 2 minutes between the call and the collision.
Now, Juad, the question that was rising the most was what happened? Were there any casualties that happened in this incident? Now, as foreign media reports, 8 people who were working on the bridge deck repairing potholes fell into the Patespo River. 6 people, all believed to be members of a road crew working on the bridge, are presumed dead due to the water temperature and time that has passed. Now, what the US Coast Guard said in the late evening on Tuesday that it had concluded the men had died and intended to suspend its massive search and rescue effort, which had been complicated by cold and cloudy weather.
Yes, now officials say the water temperature was about 48 degrees Fahrenheit, or in other words 9 degrees Celsius at the time of the collapse. All 22 crew on the ship were Indian. Now, the country is also a major player in the global seafaring. Shipping giant Maersk confirmed the ship was chartered by them and was carrying its customers' cargo. It was being operated by charter vessel company Synergy Group.
The first emergency unit arrived at the scene at 1:50 a.m. ET. The ongoing multi-agency rescue operation is led by the fire department, collaborating with the US Coast Guard and other Maryland agencies. Now, Governor Moore declared a state of emergency in Maryland at 10 a.m. local time.
Now, along with that, US President Joe Biden gave a news conference later in the day calling the collapse a terrible accident and also pledged to rebuild the bridge. Now, just a few weeks ago, Maryland officials were celebrating new cargo records at the port of Baltimore, which helped put the city on the map in the 1800s and remains an important economic driver for the region. But the collapse of the bridge will severely disrupt businesses, Kenza.
While not one of the biggest ports in the US, it ranked 17th last year for total tonnage handled. It plays a key role in car shipments, handling more than 800,000 last year. Now, Juad, according to Maryland officials, that made it the country's top port for car shipments for 13 years in a row. Now, disruption will force firms to reroute to other ports on the East Coast.
Mirka Whitesick, Global Director of Intelligence for Everstream Analytics, said the disruption was likely to strain labor and handling capacities at other ports such as Philadelphia and Norfolk and cause spillover congestions and delays that could last months. Now, the dramatic destruction of the bridge, which opened 47 years ago, left many in the city, including Governor Moore, shaken. Now, Westmore said at a news conference on Tuesday, this is a place that is a normal commute route for 30,000 Marylanders every single day. To hear the words, "the key bridge has collapsed," is shocking. It's heartbreaking.
Now, Juad, since making headlines from last afternoon, the Baltimore incident, there are still a number of unanswered questions, including what caused the ship to lose propulsion. Now, authorities say they are still investigating.